Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Let's just jump right in to episode 101. We're in the triple digits now, and it's not special anymore. Okay, last week it was kind of special. Now it's not special. Now it's just normal.
We're back to our normal jobs.
In the triple digits. So this is Fathers of the Grind. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our final regular episode of the year. Before we get into our Game of the Year stuff, we'll talk about that shortly. But I'm here with Derek Teague. My name is Tim Nestor. And let's just jump right into stuff we're playing.
Yeah.
Let's get into this thing.
Let's do it.
What have you been playing this week? And we'll get into the Game Awards, by the way, in a little bit. But what have you been playing this week?
Since I don't think we talked about it last week, I'll go back a couple weeks. I finished Wolfenstein II a couple weeks ago. Just to give a quick feeler for what I thought of the game. First half, wasn't a big fan. I didn't hate it or anything, but I wasn't loving it. I felt like the game is a little too hard. I don't like the difficulty. Call me a noob, call me whatever, but I've never, ever claimed to be really good at first-person shooters. So I ended up just basically playing it for the story. So I turned the difficulty down. I got triggered when I did that because that difficulty screen is very, very hurtful to my feelings. So I wrote a long...
Is it the one? It's not the baby one, is it?
Yeah, so I wrote a long letter to Machine Games and let them know that I will no longer be supporting any of their future games until they take a hard look at themselves with their difficulty screen. But jokes aside...
Oh, it's got the pacifier and the bonnet.
Yeah. Jokes aside, game is fun. It's fun to play when you actually feel like you're good at it. I am admitting here on the show I'm not good at it. Story ended up halfway through it. Of course, I will not spoil it. But for anybody who hasn't played it, at least play the game till halfway point even if you're not loving it. And I say that because if what they do at the halfway point with the story does, and you'll know what I'm talking about, does not intrigue you to go on, then you quit and you can settle for you don't like the game. But if it does, like it did for me and several others, then play on because the story does finish off quite nice. And so overall, I liked it. It'll probably appear in some of my Game of the Year awards somewhere, but it's not something I would say I'm in love with.
What's interesting is that game, moment to moment, I do think the gunplay feels good, right? It's got moments where I'm reminded that this is the same publisher as Doom, and I can sense some of the similarities there, the fast pace.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's not a matter of being good at the game or not. They just don't necessarily. I don't think it's a balanced game. Yeah. I think they have very interesting weapons, and it feels good to move around the environment, and it feels good when you're taking out enemies. And you need to be able to feel a threat to your life, but it's not a cover-based shooter, but they punish you when you don't live in cover. And it's just not well balanced that way.
That's my issue with it.
Unless you constantly find a wall or a barrier and then hold the L1 button to lean, you're going to get hit, and you're going to get hit a lot, and you're going to die quickly. And I played it on medium difficulty, and I powered through. I kind of regret it. I think I wasted time repeating levels because I had to try so many levels so many times.
I wasn't willing to do that. I started out at medium, but I was like, no, I'm not.
I mean, there were certain segments. There's one segment where you're thrown into kind of this open, kind of junkyard-looking place, and one of those big, giant metal dogs that spits fire and a ton of enemies are all hitting you at the same time. And on medium difficulty, I felt like that was one of the toughest things I've ever tried to play through in a first-person shooter. Like, that was remarkably difficult. And so I tried it a number of ways. I tried to kind of stealth. That doesn't work because they see you right as you enter the area. I tried to kind of doom my way through where I'm sprinting forward and doing some melee, but you can take damage while you're doing your melee attacks. So the game just has some issues in the moment-to-moment gameplay. That being said, I agree with everything you said. I think it's got probably the best moment of the year in a game in terms of story. If we had a category for that, I think it'd be a shoe-in. Hang on a sec. Okay. If there was a best moment of the year, I think that would take it. And again, just like Derek, I won't spoil it, but it's a very unique no game has done this kind of thing before moment. Someone in the group described it as kind of a grindhouse movie type moment. I don't disagree with that, but I really liked it because it caught me off guard. It was just very uniquely done, and
like I said, you'll know once you hit it. Like, oh, that's what Derek and Tim were talking about. It's not hidden.
Yeah.
All right,
but it's good. I think overall it's just a fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun story, and the setting is so cool. I just think if they tweak the balance a bit for whatever spin-off or sequels that come in the future, I hope it's a little more well-balanced so that your average first-person shooter game, and I would put both of us in that kind of average FPS shooter in terms of skill level, and I think we can play through normal mode, right, in most games. But both of us really struggled. You chose to get through it faster, and I almost did, but I think wasted time to power through the thing on medium, and it takes away the fun of the game when you feel like you're unfairly handicapped. It's kind of like when you're playing Mario Kart back in the day, and they kind of rubber band the AI to catch up with you in a way that just seems totally unfair. It has that feeling to it, or back in old football NCAA games, and all of a sudden they get momentum that's insane.
Yeah, like you would commit 5 turnovers so they can come back, and it's like really
exactly.
Right.
So I digress. I know I interrupted you, but I totally agree with your call on that, and I do think it'll be in the conversation because we have multiple categories. It'll be interesting to hear where the four of us put it for overall.
Yeah, I think we all 4 played it. Maybe 3 out of the 4 definitely played it. I'm not sure on Kyle, so I know we'll have long discussions about that.
It'll be interesting.
I'll talk about the next one in a minute because it's going to be the one I talk about the most. I would say I've also been playing Nier, mainly still looking up her skirt, but I have actually progressed through a little bit of the story. Tim loves the fact that I'm that big of a perv with video games.
No, it's a great example to all the other dads out there. Let's keep it going.
Still, one of my favorite posts of at least this week was putting ladders or goats and basically putting an upskirt because she's on the ladder. I was like, this is awesome.
And at one point, you posted one of your pictures, and you were like, "I take the game of the year very seriously," and it's like her doing a cartwheel.
A split or something. Cartwheel, yeah.
Dude, it reminds me of when I was in junior high with my brother, and we would try to pause Street Fighter II when Chun-Li's doing the spin kick move.
Heck yeah.
And we were just kind of like hormone ranging like 12-year-olds. Most of us grew out of that, Derek, but
not a chance. And my wife knows I do all that stuff, so she's proud of me.
I believe it.
She's definitely proud of me. But overall, Nier's okay. I'm not loving it. Maybe the story, kind of like Wolfenstein II, would turn me, but I feel like I'm more playing it just so I can say I finished it this year so I can talk about it next week. So maybe I'll finish it. I don't know. And by finish it, I mean one playthrough. I know there's multiple playthroughs. I doubt I'll do multiple playthroughs unless, like I said, the story hooks me. Because as far as gameplay goes, that's not my style of game. I've never shied away from the fact that I think I liked God of War franchise, but that was a little bit easier than most of these other ones. And I liked DMC. And I'm not saying the whole franchise of DMC. I'm talking about the actual reboot DMC. The other ones were okay. I've just never been a fan of these type of platinum-style games that are real. So that's why I'm not, hyped up for Bayonetta, just so you know. So it's okay, but I'll try to finish it this week if I can. But I'm kind of distracted by a game I find to be more important and more fun. I'll
just chime in on Nier real quick, and we'll talk about this more the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it, I really, really liked it because it was different than any other game I played this year. So you'll hear me talk about that more next time. But your criticisms of it, I think, are valid because it does take a very specific, personal preference like that. You need to be in the right mood to play it because it is it's very anime. And so anyway, I hear you. I don't expect everyone to love Nier like I do something more like Zelda or Mario where it just feels like everyone should love this, something like Nier.
Apparently after this week's video game show, not everybody loves what we love. So.
Well, that's true. You're allowed to say it's overrated if you haven't played it. Anyway, continue.
Okay, and then so Nier's solid. I do think I'll be in the minority with our 4 people talking about Game of the Year. I think the other three really love Nier. The other two things that I want to talk about real quick, I'm not going to talk about them long. I actually booted up PUBG on PC. Now, I bought this game a couple months ago, and I think I said it on the show that I was very mad that I bought it because it didn't have controller support on PC, or at least I thought it didn't have controller support. Because when you go into the main menu, the controller doesn't work, only the keyboard and mouse. And so I was really mad that I never even booted into a game, never loaded into the game. I just closed it out, and I was like, I wasted money on this dumb game. So with PUBG coming out this Tuesday on Xbox One, I decided, since I wanted it on the Xbox One for the controller support, I wanted to check it out on PC, even though I knew I'd be bad on keyboard and mouse, just to see if I actually like the game. If I like the game, then I would buy it on Xbox.
Gotcha.
I then booted it up in PC to find out when you're actually in the game, the controller works. So I was like, oh my god, are you freaking serious?
So wait, it's just a menu navigation issue?
Yeah,
okay.
once you're... And I had actually Googled this, in case people were wondering. I Googled it back when I bought it, and it said it did not have controller support on PC. So I assumed, that's why I never went into the game, that I had screwed up.
All right, so let's pretend that I haven't heard anything about this, and I actually have because you explained it a little bit to me, and I have read about PUBG a little bit. Why don't you explain just real quick, give us the 60-second pitch on what is this game and why is it so beloved right now?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I think it's 99 or 100 people basically get flown into a kind of like an island, and it's a big map. This is a big map. It's only one map. You only play on one single map in this game so far. They are introducing a second one. And you basically you parachute out of a plane, and then you dictate, because you're controlling the parachute, where you land. Now, when you land on this island, you have nothing. You have no ammo, you have no guns, you have no machete, nothing. So your job is, the first thing to do is to loot houses or anything you can find to find weapons. Your whole goal is to survive out of those 199 or 100 people that are on this map. You want to be the last one. It's Battle Royale, so it's all about surviving. So you can play this game, by the way. Tim asked me, so you just play by yourself? There is a mode where you can play as a squad. And again, I think you would have to turn on your squad if you actually survived as a squad to the end. I'm not sure on that because I haven't done it. But, so basically, once you're on the map and you start looking for loot, you will get alerted that you have 5 minutes to get to the area of the map that's safe. And that means they're trying to force all the players into one area to fight, because it is a big map. If you do not get to that area in time, the map will kill you. So there's like this electric field that starts electrocuting you, and your life bar slowly goes down. So that's what actually happened to me tonight. I was waiting for Tim to log in to record, so I decided to boot up PUBG. I finally killed somebody. I was so happy. I freaking sniped him, killed him, went and looted his body, and when I got done looting his body, I found out I was being electrocuted, and I could not escape it, and that's how I died. But the entire goal is just to survive. It's pretty intense because you only have one life, so once you're dead, you don't respawn in 30 seconds. It boots you out, and then you accept to play in another game. So there are unlocks. There are things you can do. You do get rewards. I think it's really unique. I think it does, for me, live up to the hype. How much I'll play it, I don't know. But I really do like it. I now see why all the people like Jose Jimenez, Clayton, and Rudy, they were posting videos and talking about how much fun this game was, and I was like, I'm not playing it, keyboard and mouse. Well, now that I've played it with a controller, it's legit. It's a good game. I think it's really well done. It's not as ugly as I thought it was going to be, but of course I'm playing on PC with ultra settings. But it looks pretty good. It runs good. It's a little janky. It doesn't control great. Like when you're out there shooting, you'll realize what I'm saying. You'll be like, what? I was trying to shoot here. Why am I shooting there? But still, overall, pretty cool game. I could see how it
fun concept.
Yeah, it's totally worth.
If you get killed,
$24.
can you just let's say you get killed and you're like the last one, like the 5th place, and you kind of want to just see how it plays out?
I think you can spectate. Yeah,
that's cool. Because I could see if you're out in the first round, I don't want to watch all of this. I want to get out here and start a new game. But I could also see being invested in that match, and it's down to like 5 of us, and I want to see who pulls it out or whatever.
I mean, the best I've done so far is I finished 37th, and that
Okay.
I finished in the top third almost, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
But overall, like you said, pretty unique experience. I know other people are trying to copy it. I don't think they'll be able to do it as good as PUBG has already established so far. So later down the road, hopefully somebody will nail it, but
Cool.
They're doing good. Real quick, the other thing that I played, not a lot of, but I wanted to check it out, is you and I had talked about me buying Monster Hunter Worlds on PlayStation 4. So the beta came out. I wanted to check that out. I played a solo match, and then I played it online tonight with randoms. I think it's great. I don't know how... I don't fully understand it. I know what Monster Hunter is. I've played it before. I don't fully understand everything I'm doing in this game yet, is what I'm talking about. But it's already got its hooks on. It's the type of game I can totally see myself diving into, because it's kind of got that Destiny hook of, well, keep doing this because you're going to earn more loot and you're going to get more powerful, and then you're going to be able to kill more
loot hook.
Yeah, and then I love the fact that you can play 4 players together. And I have nothing against playing with randoms. I will play with randoms. So it's a game I'll buy and not expect, well, the fought good people have to play, and if they don't play with me, then I'm going to be mad that I spent this money. This is a game I can buy and just play with randoms or with friends and totally be happy. So
nice.
definitely highly recommend it. If you're on the fence,
Is it a timed demo of some kind? Do people need to go check it out now? Or can they just...
Kind of pointless to say now, because when we release the show, it'll be shutting down at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, so it was just a weekend demo.
Yeah, it was just a weekend beta, but it's... Oh, by the way, it's really pretty. I'm playing on the PS4 Pro. Looks really good. I'm really impressed with it. Runs smooth. Definitely a day one buy for me, so you will have access to that. And then the last thing I want to talk about, which I know you'll also chime in on, and so feel free to, is Xenoblade's I wrote it wrong, XB2, I followed you. Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
So it should be XC.
Yes, right? I don't know why I put B, and I was following you noob.
Don't follow me. Why would you follow me?
So I played a lot of that. I'm actually 22 hours into the game. I think my characters are all around level 30. I'm into probably halfway through chapter 4 of the story. Besides what I talked about before, the map, or maybe I haven't talked about it on the show, but I've posted about it. Besides the navigation issues, which has improved a little bit, only because I've unlocked more areas so I can just quick travel. But as far as just if I wanted to explore an area, or if I've never been to an area and I need to get to it, it is a complete pain in the butt. It's a terrible system. I don't know how they created this, and somebody played it and went, good job. We definitely nailed the navigation. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
I think they tried to streamline the whole map into the quick travel thing, and to their credit, they added a lot of quick travel hubs, so there's lots of different places you can... As soon as you walk to an area, it'll just basically say, here's this new landmark, and now you can quick travel there. And that's great.
What the problem
but
is...
it's not a seamless... Like, even if you've got it marked, like, here's my mission or quest destination, even then, when I kind of turn the camera, it takes a while. I'm like, is this centered? I can't tell if it's centered, and so... I'm with you. The navigation itself, both in the HUD and when you go to look at the map or quick travel map, it's not great. And that's certainly a negative for it.
I think what they use, and I'm going off memory, even though I did boot it up not too long ago, again, to continue my first playthrough of it. Xenoblade Chronicles was a open world, like a truly open world experience. So there wasn't all this that you're having to deal with in Xenoblade Chronicle 2, where it's more open area, and there's a lot of linear spots, and a lot of climbing, a lot of falling, a lot of just dead ends, really. I think they used the same navigation system, but it was easier to use in Chronicles because, again, it was open world. You weren't blocked off by, like, mountains and stuff like that all the time like you are here. There's just, like, the thing will tell you, okay, run here. You're going in the right direction, and then you'll get there, and it's just a wall. And you're like,
Right.
okay, well, where do I go? And you don't see where you're supposed to go. So, very painful. But other than that, love the heck out of this game. Absolutely. It gives me Final Fantasy X vibes. Not that I'm saying it's exactly like Final Fantasy X. I'm talking that the feelings I had towards Final Fantasy X is what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is doing with the party, the characters, the world, even though the navigation's annoying. The story is really good, and I love the combat. Actually, the combat would be better than Final Fantasy X, but granted, it's had 15, 20 years to do something different. But
even though it's much more similar to, like we talked about last week, Final Fantasy 15, right? It's much more similar to that, where you kind of begin the auto attack process and you control it in these little timed selections of moves and stuff. And so it's very controlled in that way, but not turn based. And I'm with you, man. The combat has grown on me a lot.
I don't know how far you are, but now that I'm in the upper levels and I'm fighting harder enemies, I'm now able to do like all the moves. Like I can do combos. With my teammates, I can do our I forgot what it's called, but our special, like our most powerful move, where all the members of your party contribute to that special. Stuff I couldn't do early in the game, I can now do, and it's really satisfying, especially when some of these battles where I'll be real low on health. Rex is about ready to die, and I'm waiting for somebody to break the enemy so then I can do my combo move to topple the enemy. When I topple the enemy, it shoots out a bunch of health. So there's a lot of strategy on using your arts at a certain time and not just clicking them when you see the refresh. Like waiting. Okay, now's the time, and then you do it. And it's either more powerful or it gives you health. So there's a lot of strategy so far. I've only ran into one boss fight that I died twice on, which is weird because I didn't quit the game. Went and just looked at a strategy guide, and they're like, this is an easy boss fight because I beat the hard part of it. They're like, after you get past that hard part, this is the easy part. I'm like, wait, I got past the hard part on one try, but I've died twice on the easy part. So I then booted it back up, tried it again, and I beat it. And I was like, okay, it must have been a fluke. But yeah, the game's real good. Story's real good. Love the characters. Even all the characters that reviewers that kind of like beat the game down a little bit. I don't have a problem with them not liking characters. But some of them are like, this character's so annoying. I was like, and I'm just being honest. I'm like, they're not annoying. They're not cool, but they're not like, oh my god, this is ruining my experience. Like, I would never mention it in a review.
Well, yeah, these little furry characters kind of talk like if you ever watch the Harry Potter movies, like the house elves talk. They speak very much like Dobby and those kind of house elves.
It doesn't bother me. I've heard this type of speaking and even the pitch of his voice. I've heard it in shows, movies. There's always weird characters like that, so I didn't have an issue with that.
Right.
But again, I don't know how far you were in, but there was a story.
Not that far. I think I'm in the teens. I forget exactly what level I am now. But I also followed your advice where you said, hey, don't forget, finish a bunch of side quests and go sleep at an inn and you can just get all this bonus XP. So I did that. And that was awesome because I've died a lot more early on because I've tried to take on stuff that's at my level or a couple levels above, and you can get killed if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went and finally leveled up like 5 levels in one go, and all of a sudden I was able to compete. Anyway, it's very fun. I'm starting to get into the groove of it now. A couple things we didn't talk about last time, like salvaging, kind of this little quick time event thing you have to do as you dive in and then pull up some treasure, depending on the type of there's an item you have to use in order to salvage, and depending on how high quality that is and how well you do the timing on the buttons and just a little bit of luck, maybe the blade that you have equipped has that skill, salvage skill, or if you have luck on your character leveled up quite a bit, you've got a better chance of getting good items. That whole system is its own little game, its own little ecosystem, and I've made a ton of money and upgraded a ton of stuff. You also pick up there's two things we mainly didn't talk about. Salvaging, which is a pretty fun. That's kind of your main character's livelihood.
That is what
That's
he
what
does,
he is.
yeah.
He's a salvager, and so they actually make it an interesting way to complete quests. That's how you can get some items you can't find anywhere else, and it's a nice way to make money because you get these sets of loot, of treasure that you can sell by itself and it's worth a little bit, or you can wait till you have the right set and you go to the merchant, to the trader, and then you sell them as a set and get way more money. So very interesting kind of salvage and trade system. I really like that. It feels like its own. It feels like there's a real economy there, and I like that. And then, of course, there's the blade system. By the way, blades are essentially your NPC partner that you're running with in the battle at that time. The main one being Pyra, and she's really strong. I still prefer the moves that she does, but I've found a few other blades that they equip you with different weapons, and each of those have a different skill, and it's fun to switch between and level up your connection with them and see what powers you can get from them. Some of them are more tanks, some are healers, some are more attack. It's very interesting, very deep. You can really do whatever you want, and when you sync with the core to create a blade, as far as I can tell, it's randomly generated because they have their own unique name and set of skills and their own visual design. This game has a ton of depth to it, man. And if you're an RPG fan and you have a Switch, you have to get this. It's amazing.
You haven't even gotten to all of it, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it even opens up even more, and I'm like, holy crap. And again, I'm only in Chapter 4, and I think there's 10 chapters, so...
Yeah, even in that second area when it opens up, you see this giant valley. It looks like Jurassic Park. You got these giant creatures walking around, drinking. Some are attacking each other. Some will attack you. Some will let you walk right up to them. They don't care. And some of them are like level 75. Level 75 bird was hovering, and I got too close to it, and it came down and one shot killed me. I wasn't even mad. I was like, this is so amazing. This place feels alive and real. So anyway, love
great game.
Xenoblade 2.
I really love it. Hopefully, I'll stick with it and beat it, but as you can tell, I'm pretty far in. I've committed 22 hours, and I just kind of, last night, I got lost in it and played probably about 7 hours straight. Didn't go to bed until like 2 in the morning just playing that game. So, great game. Highly, highly recommend it.
Anyone who says that single-player games are over, they need to play this.
I will definitely be talking about that one in my Game of the Year. It doesn't matter if I finish it or not. It's definitely worthy of Game of the Year.
Well, you've got enough time and experience into it. I think it's a valid opinion. As much as I like to call you out, that's a valid opinion. I've been playing that a lot too. It only just today really it was last night did I start to get kind of hooked on it a bit. I had some success. I got that feedback in terms of, you get the right loot, you upgrade a bit, you unlock a new blade, and all of a sudden I was like, ooh, I'm getting into this. I'm getting a little stronger. I'm starting to finish these side quests that seem to not reward you with anything, but then you can go get bonus XP. So I'm really getting into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I don't think I'm that far in. I've only put probably 7 or 8 hours in, but boy, I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I did finish Wolf 2 as well, like I said before. Love it. I think it's one of the better stories and super stylized. I love it. I can't wait to see what they do to improve the gameplay side, to let the player, because your main character is so awesome. He's so cool. They make you feel so strong, but then he still dies really quickly. So it's kind of a bummer when that kind of stuff happens.
Caroline.
Caroline. I fired up the Xbox One a few times this weekend. Not only did I play some Rocket League, which was fun, trying to get my ranking back in Rocket League a little bit. I also fired up ReCore because it automatically updated to the Definitive Edition, and I don't know if it's just I haven't played it in a while or what, but it looked and felt better than I remembered it. So maybe my memory of it is just very meh, and it was actually always pretty decent. Or maybe the Definitive Edition did really spice it up a bit, because I think it looks pretty good.
No, it cleaned it up a lot for me. Keep in mind, I have it on PC and my Xbox One X.
Right.
So I'm getting actual native 4K. It really cleaned it up and really prettied it up. It wasn't ever an ugly game. It just wasn't like, it looked like that mid-range type game.
Totally.
Like it looked like a $30, $40 game. It didn't look like a
I'm playing it now, and I'm going
game.
into these dungeons, into these caves, and there's moments where I see the lighting, and I'm like, this almost looks like Horizon in this one moment. Like certain moments where the lighting's shining off the rocks and stuff.
They did a good job with it, especially for a free update.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, and of course it is a fairly easy game, but I do like the battle mechanics. It's like a fun arcade shooter. If you ever played like the Kid Icarus or that Sin and Punishment back in the old school days, and you like that fast-paced shooter action, then this one might be right up your alley. And it's got small RPG touches. You can upgrade your core bots, and there's lots of loot and upgrading to do. I shouldn't say lots. There's some looting and upgrading to do, and crafting and stuff like that. So pretty fun. I'll keep playing that one. It's one my kids really like too. It has a Star Wars vibe to it. It kind of looks like you're on Tatooine a little bit, and you're salvaging for robot scraps and all that stuff. It's very, very interesting. And I tried out Cuphead. I'll talk about this game more in the next couple weeks, but I'll give you the short version is it's really good looking. The style on this thing it deserved best art direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the beginning, it has that kind of like scratchy old school TV look to it, and it really looks like a cartoon for real, like one of those old school cartoons. I'm just not having fun playing it, and I'll talk about that more next week. Yes, it's a difficult game, but I don't dislike games because they're difficult. I'll dislike them if they're not fun and they're difficult, and I think this one falls into that category. That's just my personal opinion. We'll talk about it more in the next couple weeks. That's definitely one I don't plan on finishing. I played it for maybe 3 or 4 hours, beat a few bosses and a few levels, and I just thought, should I keep playing this? It's not that fun. So we'll talk about it more.
That I will not touch. I don't even think I'll buy it even if it's super cheap. It's just not something I care about.
I think it deserved best art direction in terms of a broader award. I don't know if it'd be my pick for that, but I see why it deserved it. Any other awards that it got, like best indie and best indie debut, I just don't get it. I'm not sure why it won for those. But
tell you what, an unlocked group, which is all about, Xbox. Those people, maybe they're just desperate, but I'm not going to say that because I think it's rude to discount people's feelings about games, but that actually played them. But they love that game, and I'm like, nope. I won't even give in to the hype. And I normally will buy a game if people hype about it, like PUBG and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, think about back in the day when you got a game when you were a kid. I mean, if it's the only game you had to play, you had to love it. So that's what it's like for Xbox owners right now.
Shots
all right.
fire.
Just kidding. I know you got your third parties. Okay, so what I wanted us to do real quick is just kind of give a recap of some of the games we've played this year. Of course, we'll talk about this in the next couple of weeks, but that's really going to be recapping our favorite games, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, it's just when you look back at what you played, did you, in terms of completing single-player campaigns or feeling like, okay, I completed this game, maybe it's a Mario Kart, and if I complete all of the Grand Prix courses, all of the Grand Prix races on 150, I feel like I've quote-unquote completed the game, even though now it's just ready to play multiplayer anytime I want. So, and in other cases, there's a campaign start to finish. So let's talk about games that we've completed, maybe one or two that really took most of your time that you really had to sink a lot of time into, or you chose to sink a lot of time into. Yeah. And then also, what games did you start but haven't finished? And then we'll just kind of give a quick thought on whether or not we think we will ever go back and finish them. So why don't you kick us off with the total count of games you completed this year?
All right, so
you don't have to name them.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to name them all. I had a picture of my spreadsheet, and it says I've completed 29 campaigns. Some of those, I think 4 of them are me replaying some of the campaigns, so I might mark it as twice because I beat it twice. But it's 29 total campaigns. None of those games were short games, and none of them were me starting like maybe halfway through because I played it a year ago or so. They were all like started fresh, played it, and beat it. So I finished 29, definitely lower than last year's 45. But again, last year I finished a lot of games that I had already started previous year, and I played some shorter experiences. The ones that I played probably put the most hours into, of course, Destiny 2, but that's kind of what you do in Destiny if you play it. But the single player games that I put the most time in would be, and Rocket League, by the way, would be Mass Effect Andromeda, Horizon Zero Dawn, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I would probably say those 3. I would say Mass Effect Andromeda, which I beat twice, would probably...
That is a meaty game. I can't believe you played that through twice. That's crazy.
And I took my time, by the way. I didn't rush it. I probably put close to 100 hours total into that game, beating it twice, maybe more. and Horizon Zero Dawn, they actually tell you your hours, and I was at like 70, 75 hours. I beat that game twice, plus played the Frozen Wild DLC, and then I beat Breath of the Wild while just exploring. Now, if you go to my Switch, it'll say I've played 55 hours, but I really don't know what I've played because I play under my daughter's account while my daughter played under my account, and then we both played each other's account. So I would say it's probably pretty accurate. I probably put 60, 70 hours into that game. Mainly just exploring, and then, obviously I did eventually beat the game, but those are probably my top 3 single-player games that I put a ton of hours in.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just looking through my list. I have to eliminate a few that aren't campaigns, like the game Arms, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I completed that on multiple difficulty levels with a few different characters, but did I beat the game? Not really. And Mario Kart 8. So some of these games I'm taking off the list. Stardew Valley, I went through a few years in that game, but that's not really a game that you finish. So taking those games off the list, it looks like 32 total campaigns. 2 of them, though, I completed right at the beginning of January because I was almost done with them.
Mm-hmm.
So like Hitman, I played through the final level when that released in January. I think it released before January, but that's when I played it. It was in January. And then Doom, I had started right after Christmas and then finished it that first week of January. So I'm counting those because I finished them this year. But the rest of them, though, it's hard to say what took me the most time. I mean, I put a lot of time into Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. That one's probably up there if I had an hour count on that. Zelda, for sure, I had a ton of hours into. I also put a lot of time into Andromeda, even with only one playthrough, because I did a lot of side stuff, a lot of side quests on that game. And then I would say that probably Origins is up there too in terms of total hours spent. Origins and Shadow of War both, just because I really liked those worlds and exploring and doing lots of side stuff. They're probably both in the 40-hour range, which to me is a lot for that type of game.
Yeah, that's what I did with both of those too.
Yeah, so played quite a bit of those. So I feel really good about the games I was able to finish this year. There's a few, though, that I didn't get to, and we're not covering that this time. Maybe we'll talk about that next few weeks. But there are also a few that I started but didn't finish. Let's see. For example, what came out this year that I started? Because I've started a lot of games that I didn't finish, if we're being honest. Neo is one of the bigger ones that I have not finished. Again, it's one of those ones that I still have downloaded. I don't plan on deleting it because I'm pretty confident I'll go back again. But I got stuck on a boss and just kind of faded away from it as other games came out. Let's see. Halo Wars 2 I didn't finish. Don't know that I'll go back and finish it unless it ever comes out
I'm
super cheap.
actually, now that you bring that up, thinking about buying it because it's $16 at Best Buy this week. So I'm actually really thinking about at least giving it a shot, because even if I don't like it, I could probably trade it in for $10 or $12. So it's a $4 investment. So I might do it.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. And also Final Fantasy 12, I wanted to mention that. Zodiac Age. Put a good number of hours into that, maybe 15 or so. Getting back into that game, but then again, like usual, letting out and kind of fade off, just like I did the first time I played it. So still haven't finished that one. So there's a number of games that I started but didn't finish. And others that technically I played for a few minutes, but I'm not counting it as I started it. Games like Prey, games like I tried Dark Souls 3 again at one point this year. I'm not really counting those as games I tried but quit because I didn't really dig into them.
Yeah.
So there you go. What about you? What games have you started but didn't finish off this year?
The ones I wrote down that I actually went on my PlayStation and Xbox to look at my library just to see what they were. The main ones are Nier, which I'm currently working on, kinda. Yakuza 0, which the little bit of time I put into it, it's very good. So why I haven't played it more, I don't know. Call of Duty World War II, I think I did 4 episodes or chapters of it. What I've played of it's good, but I haven't finished it. Star Wars Battlefront 2, I've also done about 4 or 5 of the chapters, maybe more, because they're smaller chapters. Okay, to me, that game feels like a tacked-on single-player campaign that is, all it is a tutorial of what you do in multiplayer, and I hate that. I get that the main focus is multiplayer, but I wanted them to actually care about the single player, And story-wise, maybe they did, but gameplay feels so uninspired. It feels like, oh, let's just have them do what they do in multiplayer. That's
But against
stupid.
bots and with kind of a story attached to
It's
it.
just stupid.
That's a bummer.
But I'll probably finish it. I don't think it takes that long. Another two that I really would like to finish are Prey, which I kind of got stuck on because I ran out of material. I couldn't create ammo. I couldn't find ammo. I was just running in circles. It was just becoming a chore, not a fun game. And then another one I'd like to play is Persona 5. I will say, and I don't like to use this word, I do feel like that game is overrated. I have no problem with people liking it, but when I play a game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'm like, that game blows Persona 5 out in every possible way. I get Persona 5 has, like, style, but I just feel like the way they do Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the way they do Persona 5 just feels like, I don't know. I mean, you have to just really be into, like, social gaming. It's just so stupid. It's so frustrating. The only thing that's...
There's lots of, like, the dating simulator style stuff, right? In
so
terms of,
dumb.
Like,
and
who do you want to have a relationship with? In addition to, by the way, let's be very fair. We'll talk about it with our guests, I'm sure, because I know that they liked it, or at least one of them did. But we have to be fair. It does have a in-depth battle system. It's got some great turn-based battle.
It's beautiful. It's got
tactics.
Positives. It's just,
but it's got a heavy dose of talking and relationship building stuff.
Way too much talking. And I know Kyle Neely loves it, and he'll fight and defend that game, and he should, because he loves it. That's why I said I don't like using the word overrated, because I feel like I'm kind of being a jerk saying that. But in my opinion, when I see so many people like, Persona 5 is so good, I'm like, well, go play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because to me, it's way better in every way. But that's just me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep, so there's been, 2017 has been amazing, and as we look into 2018, like I said, in a few weeks, we'll do a preview of that year. It's going to put up a good fight, but 2017, I think where it stands right now, it's been my favorite year of gaming ever. It's just been my favorite year. There's been so many good games, and I know that's not the case for everybody. Some people look at the lineup this year, and either they haven't had time or budget or the consoles to play everything, and they're like, yeah, this was an okay year. Or maybe the genres just didn't click with them, which, again, doesn't always make sense to me because I think every genre got a home run this year. I could be wrong, but I feel like every genre, maybe except for racing, didn't get the home run that you wanted, right? Maybe there was a few good racing games, but not a home run. Okay, fair enough.
Racing was pretty stacked.
I mean, it was. You had the Hot Wheels expansion for Horizon, and then you had
Forza
Motorsport 7, whatever. I digress.
Yeah,
I think this has been the best year of gaming.
You screwed up, Tim. You screwed up.
I did not. I didn't mess it up. Shut up. So next week we begin our Game of the Year discussions. I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. Not only are we going to stack up the discussions and split it up across 3 weeks, but my hope is that we really get a chance between the four of us on the panel. And by the way, it's going to be myself, Derek, Kyle Neely, and Rudy Regalado. Thank you so much to you two guys for giving up time over the next few weeks to record with us. Very excited to hear their takes. These guys have played pretty much every game and own every console, and they've got good insight into most of the games we'll talk about. But we also want to hear from you. So you, the community, go on Facebook right now, look for our main Facebook page, Fathers of the Grind, and you will find our link to our community voting. It's open till this Wednesday, and then it goes away. So if you want to vote, get on there now. Even if all you want to do is cast one vote, because maybe all you played this year was one game, no problem. Jump in there, pick that game, give it the credit that you think it deserves, and be tallied. We've already had a good response to that. A lot of votes coming in. So if you want to be part of that, have your voice be heard, do that. Also, I'm opening it up to anyone who wants to share their thoughts on a game. We might play it. If you send me an audio or video version, maybe we'll play it during or at the end of episodes. We want to make sure that the community thoughts are heard as well. So if you've got a strong case to make for a game or a few games, send me whatever you got, audio, video, or written version, and if I have a chance to, I will include it. Lastly, last little piece of housekeeping plugging here. Just wanted to let you guys know that there's a video out there that has a review of the games in 2017. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can search for it there. It's also on our Facebook page. You can go look for it there. But if you see it and you like it, please share it. I want to kind of get the conversation that we have in our community out to those who might want to join into that. So whether it's the video, whether it's the voting, or our episodes themselves, please get out there and share it for us. We really, really appreciate it. So there you go. there's the housekeeping for this week. Let's close out talking about the Game Awards. Game Awards happened this past Thursday night. And I got to tell you, I did not really enjoy watching that show. That felt like kind of a waste of time. Some parts of it were cool. We'll talk about the game announcements. I'm excited about a handful of these. I'm going to try to be very objective and realistic, though, because I can get very hyped up by these conferences, and then usually Derek brings me back down to earth like, dude, this isn't great. So I think I've got an objective view this time. There was a handful of announcements that I thought, that's pretty cool. But then most of the show I thought was somewhere between bad and embarrassing. I'm not sure exactly where it landed, but I thought it wasn't a great show. I thought last year's was a little better personally. But first, let me go through the game announcements, and then we'll recap how Derek and I did with our predictions from last week on who would win.
All right.
First game announced, and this is somewhat in order, maybe a little bit out of order to what they announced. The first one was World War Z, coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC by Saber Interactive. I thought this looked pretty awful. What'd you think?
Didn't love it. Looked pretty cheap from what I could see.
It did not look high quality. Like, when you remember the State of Decay 2 trailer that we kind of thought, oh, this doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
This looked way worse than that. So I didn't think it looked great. Who knows? It looked very janky. And for a trailer where you want to put your best foot forward, I was a little surprised. I just thought it looked kind of last gen. So whatever. I think we're zombied out. So if you're going to do something zombie related, you got to really bring your A game. And I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Vacation Simulator is coming out to VR. The same people who made Job Simulator by Alchemy Labs. So if you're into VR and you like Job Simulator, there you go. Their follow-up Vacation
Way
Simulator.
too much VR news lately.
There's a lot of VR stuff. Accounting Plus coming to PSVR. I couldn't remember who the studio was, so I just called it TGT Studios. I'm assuming that's what they're called. Both of these games I just have no interest in. I think they look horrible. Continues to be zero reasons for me to want a VR headset. Then there was the small short tease from Software, an unnamed project. I believe at PSX they had some additional teasing. I'm not sure, but there's speculation that this is Demon Souls 2 or something like that. Who knows? It's some other kind of Souls game that people are thinking, at least. That's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
In the Valley of the Gods, follow-up to Firewatch from Campo Santo. This did not pique my interest either. The idea of Firewatch did. I thought it was an interesting take. It looked like an interesting character study. And I remember last year we talked about this. I did like it. A lot of people didn't. But in the Valley of the Gods, it just didn't look that interesting to me. It looks like you're some kind of surveyors in pyramids somewhere. Similar art style to Firewatch. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that one. It's got my interest, but I'm not hyped for it. I know Derek does not care about it. Zelda Breath of the Wild Champions Ballad DLC. They had a new trailer come out, and then they announced it's available tonight, which was very cool. I love when they do that kind of stuff. So Nintendo put out the Champions Ballad DLC tonight, including a ton of new gear and I think things to do. I don't know all the details. The one that jumped out at me the most was that if you complete all the elements of the DLC, the main DLC quest lines, you get a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You get the Master Sword cycle or whatever it's called. What in the world? That looks crazy. So you get a cool looking motorcycle to ride around.
I'm excited to jump back in and play that overrated game. I mean, clearly it's not deserving.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit. People did not like the awards that thing won. Soul Calibur 6 was announced. I'm not a big fighting game fan, but this is from Bandai Namco, coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC next year. I didn't think it looked that amazing, but whatever. People are excited for it.
I really like Soul Calibur. Now,
Okay,
I've kind of
have fun.
faded on it a little bit. I did buy Soul Calibur 5, but I didn't love it. I'm excited
I just
to
didn't
see
think it looked that impressive. Like, I thought it looked kind of like the old Soul Calibur games. I didn't think it looked that... Maybe I missed it. Maybe I needed to watch it on a different screen. But I remember looking at it going, that doesn't look all that new. But whatever. Maybe it's great. This next announcement I did get excited for because I never did play the second one, and I only played the demo for the first one. That is Bayonetta 1 and 2 is coming out to the Switch in February. And then they announced that Bayonetta 3 is in development as a Switch exclusive. They didn't give, of course, any kind of release window. I'm assuming 2019.
I think it's time you and I call out Jesse White with his excuses. You now literally have zero excuses to not own a Switch. You have no excuse. Yeah. And don't tell me, well, I mean, I just need to know. They've announced every game that you've asked for. I've paid attention to what you said. You said, I would love Bayonetta 1 and 2 to come
I
to
want a new
the
Metroid
Switch.
game, Metroid
I
Prime
want a
game.
new Metroid game. And I want Bayonetta 3. Guess what? All of those games have now been announced. And
1 and 2 will be on. By the way, it's Bayonetta 2, and then it includes 1. So basically, you're getting 2 games for the price of 1, and then 3 is in development. And they did have a short, little teaser trailer for 3. So I think it's got some work behind it. Maybe this will be a surprise fall release. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I would realistically think it falls in that Metroid category of it's a ways out. But
maybe.
I also, and you agreed with me, didn't think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would be in my home right now. I figured it would be delayed and it was further away, but Nintendo's surprise.
Well, I'm excited for that. I'm totally going to buy that combo, and then assuming that I enjoy that, because I did like Nier, I do like a lot of Platinum games. I am looking forward to 3. Yet another Switch game to look forward to. I like to have these long-term games to look forward to in addition to the every few months.
I do like how they're doing that. I do like how they're like, Bayonetta 3 is coming, but to tie you over and to just add on to our 2018 portfolio, here's 1 and 2, because we know you didn't play 2 on the Wii U because barely any of you owned it.
It's brilliant. There's already 2 games coming out in 2018 for the Switch. Let me just pause real quick. You know how we talked about how every month there's a Switch game? Mm-hmm. That's continuing into 2018 because December was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And now here we come into January, Lost Sphere from RPG Factory, or Tokyo Factory, whatever they're called. The people who made I Am Setsuna. So I'm very excited for Lost Sphere. Mm-hmm. And then February is Bayonetta 1 and 2. So the games keep rolling out for the Switch. Every month there's something that I want to buy for that system. Sea of Thieves finally got a confirmed release date in March.
About that.
March 20th. I really am. It looks like a lot of fun. The people who have played it on an ongoing basis at different events,
it's good, yeah.
They keep saying this is just a fun game. And so I am cautiously optimistic that will be a fun game to finally jump into. It's been around for, 3 or 4 years they've been talking about this game. Witchfire. This was an interesting reveal because it said from the developers of Ethan Carter, and it looked like a first-person adventure, right? Like a puzzle game. And then all of a sudden it said, and Bulletstorm. And then it showed his gun come up, you start fighting these enemies. And I was like, interesting. This one looks very interesting. So Witchfire looks like an interesting game. A Way Out not only had some new info revealed about it and a release date of March 23rd, but also its developer had by far the most entertaining moment of the show when he, I think, was intoxicated and had a lot to say about the Oscars for some reason. He's got a lot of strong opinions about the Oscars. That was absolutely hilarious. Jeff Keighley kind of lost control of that interview moment, and he made the mistake of telling him, go ahead and say whatever you want to say, and then the guy just went off and flipped off the camera, and it was crazy.
I thought Jeff was handling it quite good as far as he didn't want to upset the guy because he knew he was a little crazy, but he also didn't want to upset the crowd because the crowd was definitely feeding off the guy, but he needed to move the show on. So I thought Jeff handled it as best he could.
He did fine.
I think he would have been critiqued anyway if he would have stopped him, if he would have.
The fact that he kind of stood back and laughed nervously, and then after a few tries, eventually got the next segment to happen. You're right. He handled it about as well as you probably could.
Yeah, I probably would have handled it the same.
That's a pretty silly moment. So Dreams got a new trailer for the PS4 coming out in 2018 from Media Molecule. And to their credit, at least this time, it looks a little bit more like a video game. Like there's actual areas to explore and things to do because they're going to have some pre-made worlds. But they're sticking with this idea of you create and then you play, which again is not really something that I'm that excited about. I just want to play. You create, I play. That's kind of usually how I function, right? You create, I'll play. So whatever, Dreams, at least it seems like it's still a thing, which is kind of a surprise to me. I thought that thing was going to get completely canceled. So it's still happening.
Yeah.
They revealed a new Death Stranding trailer. It's got a 2018 release, I think. I could have sworn I saw 2018 show up at the end of that trailer. I got to tell you, man, Hideo is putting out weirder and weirder trailers for this thing, and I'm kind of tired of it. I know a lot of you listening love Hideo Kojima. You love Metal Gear Solid. I'm with you. I really enjoy the Metal Gear Solid games. I like the way he tells his wacky stories. I am tired of these trailers now. There's been no gameplay so far. It's been a few years. You got to stop doing this. In my opinion, stop putting effort and money and time into these trailers. even if they're part of the game, just hold on to them until you can show us a little bit of what the game is like. I want to know what I'll experience as a gamer. If I want to watch a movie, I'll go to the theater. So I'm a little bit tired of the Death Stranding teasers.
I'm not a Kojima guy. I do like Metal Gear Solid, and I do respect some of the stuff he's done in those games to like wow us as gamers, like just outside of the box completely. But he's not one of those guys where he can just put anything out and I'll be like, oh, so awesome. I think the only guy who could do that, and that's why I'm not harsh and not bashing these people that are like falling all over Death Stranding, even though they have no clue what it's about, is Ken Levine. If Ken Levine just came out and put like just some odd weird thing out, but his name was attached to it, I'd be like, I can't wait. So I get it, but I agree with you. I think they're stupid and they're not making any sense. And I know he's doing that on purpose, but it's just they're not interesting to me. They actually
so if Ken Levine put out a old school looking pixelated match 3 mobile game, you would be excited about it?
Which that's funny that you say that, because the stuff he was working on, I wasn't showing any interest in because he was going down that mobile route. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not following
They also announced Fade to Silence, a survival game from THQ Nordic, and there was a few other things talked about, a few new trailers that came out as well. But those were some of the main things that happened. The ones I'm most excited about being Bayonetta. I think Witchfire looks interesting. I'm excited about Sea of Thieves now that that's getting closer. And I do think A Way Out looks like a possibly better executed Kane and Lynch. We'll see. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition. All right. Let's talk about the awards themselves, and then let's shut this bad boy down.
All right.
All right, so we made our predictions last week, and let's look to see who did the best. So first of all...
probably the smarter guy. So you guys decide who you think the smarter guy is. He definitely won.
I can guarantee you. No, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. All right, here we go. The best debut indie game. Derek, you and I both picked what?
Cuphead.
Of course we did, and of course they won. So there you go. We're 1-1 so far. By the way, we skipped a few categories. Best student game, best esports team, whatever else. We skipped a few.
Those are dumb.
For our predictions. Best multiplayer game. You picked PUBG. I picked Mario Kart 8, and the winner was, of course, PUBG. You're up 2-1.
All right.
Best sports and racing game. You picked Forza Motorsport 7. I picked Pro Evo Soccer 2018, and of course, Forza Motorsport 7 won. So you're up 3-1. Let me just pause here for a second and say something that Jeff Keighley said multiple times before announcing it that I didn't realize.
What?
It was a combination of the 52 writers and selectors and fans. I didn't realize that they were factoring in fan voting into all of these.
Oh, okay.
I may have predicted things a little bit differently if I had known that, because then I think a lot of these did lean towards the more popular as opposed to necessarily the quote-unquote best. But
yeah, well, especially with this next category.
Best strategy game. You picked Total War. I predicted that Mario plus Rabbids would win. I thought that was kind of a stretch, but I was trying to pick a sleeper.
See, I would have picked Mario and Rabbids if I would have known fan votes counted. But
well, yeah, and I would have done the same with Forza Motorsport 7. But hey, we made our own beds. We got a lie in it. So 3-2.
You lied to me. So far. You gave me false, fake news.
Best family game. Of course, Super Mario Odyssey won because the fans got to vote on it.
You say, of course, Super Mario Odyssey wins. Yeah. What did you vote for, Tim?
Splatoon 2.
Wow. Games Media wouldn't even have picked Splatoon.
You might be right. Again, that was probably a stretch as well. But my thought was Mario Odyssey would have been the popular vote, but since this is critics, I wonder if they'll pick something with more of a multiplayer bent. I was totally wrong. Mario Odyssey totally won. That was Derek's pick, and he's up 4-2. All right, best fighting game. Boring. We both picked Injustice 2. The obvious choice was Injustice 2. Best RPG. Derek, why don't you tell everybody who won this one and what we picked? Because
well, again, I would have changed my vote if you would have given me proper information. But the winner was Tim with Persona 5. I picked what I think Games Media would have picked, and that's Divinity 2.
Possibly. You're right. And they might have picked Divinity 2. But you're right. So it's 5-4 at this point. It's a close race so far.
Yep.
Best action adventure game. We both picked Horizon. We were both super wrong. It was Zelda Breath of the Wild. 5-4. I'm
really?
kind of surprised, even knowing that the popular vote was included. I still might have picked Horizon for that.
See, and I picked Horizon because I thought it was based off games media and stuff, that they would give Horizon this win because I didn't think they were going to win the big one. So
absolutely.
But, yeah.
Yet another loss for Horizon, and you'll recognize that was a theme of the Game Awards, was Horizon getting nominated but not winning anything.
Horizon Zero Awards.
Someone posted that, and actually I chuckled at that. I won't lie to you. And by the way, I love Horizon. Don't get all upset. I love that game. It was just, that was funny. Okay, best action game. You picked Destiny 2. I picked Neo. The winner was Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
So we're still at 5-4. Derek's in the lead. Best VR AR game. You picked Resident Evil 7. I picked Super Hot VR. Winner was Resident Evil 7. 6-4, Derek. This is not looking good.
This is great.
Best handheld game. We both picked Metroid. Winner was Metroid, so it's 7-5. Best mobile game. You said Super Mario Run. I said Monument Valley 2. Winner was Monument Valley 2.
Of course, you would know the casual award.
7-6. Shut up. 7-6. Derek's still on the lead. Best indie game. We both picked Hellblade, but the winner was actually Cuphead, which I vehemently disagree with.
Yeah, that one. That's curious. That's weird.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure the winner was Cuphead, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a weird pick for best indie game. I don't think that's the right choice. But Cuphead won. Best ongoing game. Now, I should have thought, and I might have copied your pick. You picked Rainbow Six Siege. I should have thought through the fact that this is probably going to be a game that didn't release this year. So I picked PUBG, thinking it wouldn't win anything else, although it had already won multiplayer. Of course, it was Overwatch as best ongoing game.
Again, so if we would have known the fans were involved, I changed my vote.
That's true.
Of course.
Well, and you know what? If I had known fans were involved, I might have stuck with PUBG, to be honest with you, because of its overwhelming popularity currently.
PUBG is very popular, and so is Rainbow Six, but Overwatch kills Rainbow Six. I know that.
In terms of players, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Games for Impact, we were both spot on. It was Hellblade. Score is now 8-7. Derek in the lead. Of course, best performance also went to Hellblade. Melina Jurgens from Hellblade. The score is 9-8. You know what's interesting is someone, I think it was an Unlocked or Beyond, someone thought, I think it's curious that the one year that the Voice Actors Guild or whatever it's called, video game actors, they go on strike, then a non-video game actor member, a video editor, happens to win. I think it's quite a coincidence, and I'm like, no, she was better than everybody else. She
clearly was. But I will say this: I'm curious. She seems like she's committed to the Hellblade or Ninja Theory and the Hellblade team. There's no way somebody's not going to come knocking on her door and say, "Hey, we've got this female protagonist. We would absolutely love you to audition for it." I'm curious if she would go into acting full time and leave.
She totally could, man.
I think she could. She nailed that role.
She was great.
I loved her.
So
I loved her.
I hope she continues.
Love her though.
Yeah, and I think any studio that has someone like that who's got multiple talents, I think they're gonna have to pay that person a lot to stick around, because I think a lot of companies have probably been coming after her since then, because that was pretty remarkable. Best audio design. You picked Hellblade. You were spot on, of course. I picked Destiny 2 like an idiot. I looked back at that and I was like, why did I pick that? That was dumb. Hellblade won. You're ahead 10-8. Best score / music. You picked Persona 5. I thought Super Mario Odyssey would win. We were both wrong. It was Nier.
Nier has terrible music, by the way. I'm playing that game, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Here's why I think it was a bad pick. I don't think it was best overall score in music. It may have won for most fitting, I guess, because I think it really did fit that game. It fit the vibe of it. I just don't think it was the best in terms of quality or in terms of being memorable. It was fitting, but maybe not.
You know who has a good soundtrack that you guys should check out? Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
It has a
thing
great
that I
soundtrack.
love.
Yeah.
I love the soundtrack.
It has a great soundtrack. So does, of course, one of my favorite soundtracks in recent memory is Ori. I listen to that on its own anyway. I think the Horizon soundtrack also is a great standalone set of music too. At least certain songs are.
Yeah.
But Nier won. I would never put Nier on my playlist, so I don't know. I don't know how you score that. Still 10-8. Best art direction. This is where it becomes some of the obvious stuff that looking back I should have just picked Cuphead. That seems obvious. You picked it. That's what won. I picked Zelda, thinking that it would be recognized for its art direction, for how good it looks on a underpowered console. I think I overthought that. Cuphead was the obvious choice here for best art direction. Best narrative. You picked Wolfenstein II. Good pick. I picked Horizon. I still think that was a good choice. The winner was What Remains of Edith Finch. I guess what other category is it going to win?
I mean, I heard that
Makes
it
sense.
does actually have a good narrative, so
Yeah,
I won't
makes sense.
play it, but I would be interested in actually YouTubing
So-
and watching to see what the narrative is.
At this point, you're ahead 11-8. We have two awards left, so there's not a lot of suspense here at the end. But
You're done.
Best game direction. You said Horizon. I said Wolfenstein 2, which I stand by. I still think that was the best directed game. The winner was Zelda Breath of the Wild. Interesting choice. For direction, at least.
I mean, what exactly does best game direction mean? How did they define it? Do you know?
I don't know specifically. Here's what I think. So I'm thinking of it from more of a movie perspective, and I think that was my mistake. I think it's coming from more of a cohesiveness of how the entire experience works together. You know, everything from the story to the cinematics to the gameplay.
As
and
much
how it
as
all
I love
works
Zelda,
together.
I don't see
So-
how. I don't know. I don't agree with
It was
that.
Yeah, interesting choice there too. Maybe there is a better definition out there that I'm not aware of, but I was definitely thinking of it from more of a visual cinematic experience perspective, but I missed it. Still 11-8, and Game of the Year we both got correct, of course. Zelda Breath of the Wild won. I doubt it was very close, and that brings us to 12-9. Derek wins the prediction for the Game Awards. Good job, Derek. You have your finger on the pulse of the weird games media
Hey,
fans.
like I
more
said,
than I do.
the smart guy won. We knew he was going to win. He
Yeah, because all
deserved
those
it.
winners were the smart choice.
Caroline,
Anyway.
Caroline, I beat Tim.
Caroline.
I beat Tim, Caroline.
Thanks for carrying me with your wings. Caroline. All right, well, that does it for this week's episode 101. Thanks for listening. Next week, you will hear a few additional voices as we begin our first round of debating the Game of the Year awards for 2017. Please be excited, because we are.
And I'll say this real quick before you send us off.
Yeah.
You know, I never ask people to share our show because I just think it's cheesy. And to be honest, it doesn't work unless you know people who are actually interested in gaming. But with it being Game of the Year, there are going to be people that are looking for Game of the Year shows. So if you really do like our podcast, you don't just like us as on Facebook as friends, and so you're like, oh, I feel like I have to support these guys. You actually think we have a good show? Share our stuff. Try to get more people to listen. Go to Unlock. Go to Beyond. Whatever. Go, hey, this isn't my show. Because if it comes from me or Tim, it seems so sleazy and cheesy. Nobody cares. But if it comes from somebody outside of us and you say, hey, I really like these guys. They're good guys. They have a great show. Give their Game of the Year show a shot. If you like them, subscribe. Maybe we'll get some more listeners. I'd like to see it grow, obviously. So,
well, and
help us out.
I think that's a valid request. I don't think we ask that very often, right? Please
No.
go rate and review us. Please share us.
No.
We just make the show for those of you who enjoy it and listen, and we assume that you will naturally decide to share it if you think it's that good. But I'm with you. I think it's if those of you out there who are still listening by this point, obviously you're enjoying the show. You would have shut this off before we got past the hour mark, right?
Yeah.
So if you're enjoying it, maybe you know others who might enjoy it too. Maybe jump into one of those bigger groups and share the Game of the Year episode when that comes out. Maybe just go and share the video recap, you know, the 3-minute, 50-second video. Say, hey, these guys put this thing together, and just give people exposure that way, because that's kind of a shorter, bite-sized chunk for people to digest. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support so far. And we'll jump into Game of the Year next week.
I'm excited. It's going to be good stuff.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?